All right. First order of business is, let's see, approval of the minutes from April 8th. Anybody have any changes to the minutes? April 8th or corrections? No?
Make a motion to accept them.
I think if you look on page 9, in the middle of the page, or towards the bottom of the page, there's some text attributed to Ms. Claire that I
Okay.
think was something I said.
Oh, really?
It was long-winded and over-explanatory,
Yeah, it's
so
probably
it
not
was probably
me.
me.
Yes. I see exactly where you're talking about. Probably, yes.
All right, let me get it, hold on. Must be glued together, that one. Number 9, all right, go ahead. Where is it? Which?
I think it's a fairly sizable paragraph. The bottom half says Ms. Claire.
From Paula Claire?
Yeah, but I'm sure that it talks about their daughter living in a cottage 25 feet from the septic system.
Right here. This is just.
Oh, yeah.
continuation.
A house I know I live in is probably 25 feet of sister system.
Right, right.
So we'll correct that. All right? Okay. Any other corrections? All right, make a motion.
I make a motion to accept them as corrected.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. This is good. All right, next is the continuation of public hearing for Kristan Connolly, Route 403 Garrison. The applicant seeking a variance for relief from Section 175-36B1, which disallows construction of dwellings on slopes that exceed 20%. The lot, which pre-existed the current zoning as a separate building lot that conformed to the previous zoning, is legally non-conforming. Topography, when considered in conjunction with the setback requirements imposed by the current zoning, is such that no place upon which one can build and avoid slopes that exceed 20%. Continuation in public hearing. Okay. I think last month I asked you for the zoning board. No, I'm sorry, zoning board, the conservation board approval, and Mr. Watson supplied with that tonight. And in reading the approval, there's a bunch of contingencies he has to follow and all like that. So it looks like they did a pretty thorough job, the conservation board, going through this and making sure that everything is fits their needs and meets the conservation board's needs. So that's accepted. The second thing on it was, Ms. Claire, you had asked for something of planting.
I don't remember asking for planning. Was it me or somebody else?
That was you,
It was me.
unless I'm mistaken. Was it?
I don't remember. There was
Yeah, it was
considerable
you.
discussion
Yeah, you asked
about
for
the planting
We
plan.
were talking about what you asked for planning design.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there's your planning design. Okay, now, you went over everything last month.
Well,
you know,
I just wanted to
wanna update it? Go ahead.
Take a moment. We did get together with Max Garfinkel.
Okay.
Develop the plan, so what you have is now 3 sheets that
Excuse me,
turn into
Glenn?
copies.
Oh, go ahead.
I told you.
You gotta do stand-up live.
As I said, we did work with Mr. Garfinkel to come up with a planting plan, and we've turned it into you. It calls for native species. It calls for some no-mow grass, longer grass that will help impede the water and the runoff. And basically, we've identified specific plants. We've identified specific seed mixes, all of which are designed to grow in this atmosphere and to help in this climate, rather, and help particularly on the steeper slopes, impede the water and impede the flow of the water. And of course we did the wetlands permit, which you mentioned. So I think we've satisfied that. We did look at alternate paving, which is one of the third thing I think that was a discussion. And to be perfectly frank, we have not changed it for a couple of reasons. The choice that we originally had was paving or not paving, but have a gravel surface. And a gravel surface is considered an impermeable surface, but it does slow some of the water, and we have designed so that the runoff from the gravel surface will run into these dams and will be trapped before it gets too far, and then into that leaching basin where we'll get some more settlement before the water drains out. Mr. Connolly did some research into into permeable surfaces, and I've checked with my office with regard to the engineers in my office with regard to that. The permeable surfaces that would typically be affordable are not designed to be on the slope of this driveway as steep as it is. The ones that are affordable really make this thing an impossible task. It's what do you say, over $100,000? And it's just really a significant amount of money for this project, and just not something that can be afforded. But again,
How long is that driveway approximately? I'm just, any idea?
well, I have the
Estimate?
information somewhere.
Guesstimate?
Guesstimate.
Looks pretty long, that's what
What
I'm
is
just
it?
trying to...
600 feet?
No?
No. Let
Okay.
me see. I'll.
It's long, we'll go with that.
Okay. Let me do.
For $100,000, it must be long.
Yeah.
Oh, that stuff's very expensive.
Yeah.
I'm
it's-
sorry?
That stuff's really expensive.
Yeah.
Permanent blacktop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I still have. I may have said this the last time. I still have my doubts about permeable blacktop. I mean, I think that when somebody sands a driveway, it gets in the holes and the voids in there, and it clogs up. So I think it is effective maybe for a period of time, and unless you go out there with a vacuum cleaner every year, I think you've got to eventually you basically have an impermeable surface. And there are probably a dozen engineers that use it and sell it and would argue with me, but I really have a strong feeling in that regard. Okay. At any rate, I think we've done everything we can. I did look at the detail of this barrier, and it is built into the ground, and it is basically a clay barrier that directs the the sewage down into the ground as opposed to migrating below and into the wetland. I just wanted to point out that we did, where it's the closest to the wetlands, we did reserve, that's a reserve area which typically they don't get used. I mean, I can't say they'll never get used because that's what they're there for. But
Right.
we've designed the system to be to the southwest, which is a little further away from the wetlands, and we also added an extra lateral or two in there so that there will be a better spread on the effluent. With that, I hope you consider the 5 reasons, and if you look at that, it would be, I think you'll find that it's within those parameters. We have a reasonable case, and to be perfectly frank, I'll close it saying that we've tried to do everything we could to mitigate potential impacts on all the things, and we've looked at it and we've re-looked at it and we've responded to all of the different boards and
Right.
reviewers, and responded as positively as we could and got their approvals. So we think we've done a good job, and we also believe that if we don't get an approval that's this or similar to this, we basically have been stripped of any value of our property. Thank you.
No, I appreciate the Conservation Board, because I read it, and they really went through it. You know, they got like 14 conditions on here that you have to go along with and everything else like that. So they really put some time into it, which is good. It's good because that makes us happy. You know what I'm trying to say? That they're happy with that. So is there anybody in the audience who wants to talk to this application? No? Okay. Let's go at this time. I'd like to go to 5 factors. Is there any questions from anybody on the board at this time? All right. Number 1, what possible deterrent would the variance have on nearby properties? The Connolly seek to build a single-family home on this parcel. There will be no detriment to nearby properties. The property is most affected by those directly across Cat Rock Road. The proposed dwelling will present a view to those owners that is much the same as the currently presented to the subject property. Yeah, I viewed the area, and I agree with that 100%. 1B, what impact would the variance have on the character of the neighborhood? Well, land to the west, north, and west is undeveloped state land. Land to the east and south is developed single-family residence on lots that are similar in size to the subject property. The proposed single-family home will be similar in scale to the nearby buildings. It is unlikely that similar variances will be requested because the existing lots are either already developed, part or park system, or restricted from further development. I agree with that also, when looking at it. Number two, if you didn't get the variance, how else could you build, and what would you want to accomplish, or how would you accomplish your goal? It would be impossible to develop the property under the current zoning without a variance. The variance sought is one of two that might be considered. The other would be a variance from the rear setback. Well, we discussed that, and we decided that we're going to go the more efficient means would be go with this variance, the one you're asking for. You don't want to rear yard setback.
And just the other point that it didn't occur to me to say the last time, nor in my answers to these questions, was that if we move the property all the way to the back, the Connollys wouldn't have a backyard. They would do their family picnic in the front yard, and they would and so this leaves them really not a very big spot, but at least some spot to have some real family privacy.
Okay. Number three, what is the code requirement you seek to vary? Section 175-36B1 limits the type of construction that may occur on land with slopes that exceed 20%. The home, porch, and garage that the Connollys plan to build will cover approximately 2,866 square feet, which approximately 2,325 square feet, or 81% of the home, will be on slopes that exceed 20%. The property is what it is. I'm trying to say it's just there really is no place that I could see on that other place that you could build a house.
Yeah, we did look at that back other area where it was all rock and
Yeah, we
and
discussed that and all like that, which there was a rock and everything like that. What impact or effect will variance have on the current physical and environmental conditions in the area? If the variance is granted, the applicants will convey the property to their contract vendee, who will construct the home on the land. There will be grading, paving, removal of vegetation. Normal drainage patterns will not be changed beyond the property. As originally presented, there might have been impacts on wetlands. However, the Connolly's home and site plan have been reviewed and approved by the Putnam County Department of Health, the Philipstown Conservation Board, and the Philipstown Planning Board. These reviews resulted in changes in the Connolly's plans, which were specifically incorporated to minimize the impacts associated with the proposed construction. Yeah, like we say from last month, I was glad you went there and worked out a plan with them as far as planting and all like that on the area. Number five, is the variance requested as a result of self-created hardship? The need for the variance is not self-created. The property existed legally under the previous zoning code, which did not restrict construction on steep slopes. The hardship was a direct result of the adoption of the current zoning code in 2011. There was a lot of hardships in 2011 that changed a lot of different properties and all like
went
that.
from 2 to 10 acres in places.
It made a lot of properties that had to come here for variances approved. Are there any questions on any of these from anybody, board members? Anybody have any questions? All right, this time I'll call for a roll call vote.
Have you closed the
Motion, I'm
hearing?
sorry.
Make a motion
Yeah.
to close the public
Motion to
hearing.
close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now I make a motion for a vote. Mr. Sestone,
I vote to approve.
vote to approve. Mr.
I vote to approve.
Approve. Ms. Lim? I'm sorry. Paula?
I vote to approve as well.
I'm sorry?
I vote to approve.
Vote to approve. And I vote to approve.
Thank
It's
you very
unanimous, and when the resolution comes, you can start,
Sure.
get your permit and all like that.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Any other business for tonight? Old business? New business? Any business? Okay, that's good. Anybody make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'm sure. Second it? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.